What's up, everybody? Tyson Rouse. Let's talk Jets. Before we get started, I just want to wish all of you and your families a very happy and healthy holiday season. Hopefully we'll have a much better football year next year. And you're watching the game last night, Broncos-Chargers, and you're just like, when will the Jets finally make headlines in December about the right things? The games on the field, a chance to make the playoffs, a chance to win a division, all these high-caliber matchups. It seems like it's been eternity since it's happened, and it has been. 14 years, no playoffs, very few glimmers of hope. And this is why all these stories come out, regarding the Jets and why they're the laughing stock of the NFL. So it's funny to see the reactions to the Athletic article, as for the last 3 or 4 months, or 3 months at least, the fans are like, Woody Johnson, sell the team. This team's dysfunctional. I can't take it anymore. And when an article finally comes out sharing some details, everybody's like, oh, this is ridiculous. It's not true. So my initial instinct is I would probably guess that there is probably a large percentage of the article is true, whether you want to believe that or not, whatever. But I also preface this by saying I'm no fan of Woody Johnson. If you've watched this channel for any period of time, it's obvious that's the case. I hate the way he handles the fans. This is an owner that said in an interview thinking is overrated. This is an owner that has raised ticket prices during an awful season where next year you have to hire a new GM and a new head coach. This is an owner that raised ticket prices during a small winning streak with Zach Wilson. It's always been about headlines, about selling tickets, making money, and winning always seems optional. And at this point, based on what you're reading, it seems like Woody Johnson's like a petulant child that doesn't understand how to handle his aging toy. When he first, bought the Jets, he had, some success, it's exciting, and now things aren't going his way, and he's just going with his instinct and making irrational decisions and irresponsible decisions, and here's the aftermath. So when you look at this article, a couple things I take away from it. I'm not going to analyze all of it. The 2 big stories that really bothered me that are true because they could be verified anywhere, and they were. The first one was the Mike White story where, Mike White resurrected this team after Zach Wilson grossly failed. The team literally rallied around him. The fan base rallied around him. It was exciting times. It was just, you finally had a belief in this team you haven't had in a long time. He gets all banged up. They play against the Seahawks. They lose. He goes in the locker room, slams his helmet, and Woody Johnson says, you should throw your helmet. You effing suck. And then right there, you're like, not only have you crossed the line, you're showing your true colors. This is not how you treat your players. This is not the environment you want to have. Successful organizations are all about continuity, stability, that family environment. You're all in this together. You don't want that us versus them mentality, because then you're like, you know what? I know who you are now. You're a fraud. Then you have other stories where, in a locker room, players can hear family members chastising them or criticizing the other room, like loudly, which is ridiculous, because you're like, all right, I see how this is. I understand that you work for them, but when you have that boss worker mentality, when they kind of and they treat you like that, it kind of makes you go into a shell, and then you just we're all out for ourselves. And then the last one is where, Jeff Ulbrich wins his game against the Texans. Aaron Rodgers wants to come in and give the game ball to him, which is rightfully so, deserved it after all he's dealt with. And a member of Woody's family comes in, hands a game ball to Garrett Wilson instead, and then has a profanity-laced speech with it, which is ridiculously embarrassing, steals the moment from the team, and makes it all about you. The football team shouldn't be all about the owner or his family. It should be about the team, all together. And then you have the other things where the one thing you're always worried about is Woody meddling with coaching decisions, personnel decisions, roster decisions, playing time, or whatever else. And the handling of Nate Hackett spoke volumes, where, according to the report, and this doesn't surprise me at all, I actually would believe this, Saleh wanted to fire Hackett after last season, where it was known, watching the games week in and week out, the thing that pisses me off that people that casually watch the Jets and try to share opinions. When we watch this team week in and week out for years, decades, we know what we see, we know what we watch. Hackett was clearly in over his head. He was an incompetent head coach, and you had concerns with play calling, the blocking, the routes, everything. Saleh wanted to fire him. That didn't sit well with Rodgers. So instead of doing that, they tried to hire an offensive consultant, and nobody wants this job. Nobody wants to be a third chef in the kitchen. Nobody wants to oversee this mess and inherit this. So they went elsewhere. Then, as they wanted to demote Hackett, Rodgers wasn't comfortable with that. Another scenario worked out where Saleh then got fired. Woody Johnson gave way too much power to Aaron Rodgers because that's what he felt was the only way to save his franchise. The Jets were a rudderless ship that couldn't sell tickets and couldn't win games. He put all his eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket saying, please save us. I'm going to trust you because I don't trust anybody else because I don't think they're competent anymore. So instead of making wholesale changes last year, if he didn't believe in his coach last year, he should have fired him last year instead of going through this mess this year. Imagine Vrabel coaching this team this year, but whatever, or Peyton or Harbaugh or whoever else. But then you have all this, and then it's just like you're undercutting everybody, and your hierarchy where you want football guys making football decisions is blown right away, and it's gone. And now there is no leadership, no accountability, and most importantly, no respect, where the players recognize what's going on and they don't believe in anything, and the results match the field. The Jets aren't winning by coaching right now. They're winning by just talent and going through the motions, and sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't, but they know it's over, and they don't believe in anything. So now the question is where the Jets go from here. And I'm honestly glad this article came out because I want as many warts exposed about this New York Jets team as humanly possible. Everything. I want to know it all. And you have a lot of disgruntled people out there. Look at all the people that have been fired unceremoniously over the last few years or cut unceremoniously after the last 3 years, and questionable things have happened to them. Share your stories. Let it all out. Because I want Woody Johnson to own it, to feel it, and to understand the ramification it has on his organization. You're one of the worst teams in the NFL, and right now you're not a very marketable team where you're going to have to drastically overpay somebody to come here. So now what does he do? And that's the answer. He has now, when he's getting constantly smacked in the face, and the thorough embarrassment, has to say, okay, listen, I have to find a way to lure in top candidates. And how do I do that? Well, first and foremost, along with the 33rd team, is I have to say I will give you full control of this team if you're the general manager. You run the roster, you run the cap, and then the last thing you want is for whoever it is, say it's I don't know who it is, Jim Nagy, whoever it is, running the team, going to Woody, listen, I want to do this trade, I want to move my team in this direction. Woody's like, I don't agree with that. Like, Woody doesn't have a football mind. Like, who in Woody's little clique has a football mind? The team president, him, his brother, none of them know shit about football. So why are you going with your instincts? Who are you trusting? I'm not like the whole thing about his sons, I don't really want to get into. It's kind of creepy and weird. But like, seriously, if you have your guys that you pay to make football decisions telling you this is what they believe is best for your organization, and Woody says, yeah, I just don't agree. Then what do we do? Why even have him in the building? So the first thing Woody has to do is say, listen, if you're a general manager, you have full say here. I trust you. If you want to hire football operations, even better. You want that classic hierarchy. Coach, GM, have a football operations guy, and that last guy reports to Woody Johnson. The next thing they're going to want stability. Okay, you're giving me my power. I want a long-term contract. I want 6 or 7 years because this is going to take 2 years to rebuild, and I want a chance to, watch my whole process work out and not have this rush and make band-aids and everything else. I want my full scheme to have a chance to, recycle this roster, get the right guys, and change the leadership, change the culture. Then it comes down to money. Woody Johnson's notoriously cheap when it comes to his staff. Pay the money, man. If you want to act like you're a big-time owner, then you got to pay big-time money to bring in somebody here. I don't believe all the stories about Vrabel. I mean, to say Vrabel is high on the Jets list, well, no shit. He's high on everybody's list. He's one of the most qualified candidates out there, right? So, and then you have the Flores, all these guys. If you want to bring them in here with all the perceived dysfunction surrounding your team, you're going to have to pay big-time money. If the Jaguars are paying $6 million, pay 10. Like, this is your only chance. This is going back to the Parcells days when the Jets were a complete disaster with Rich Kotite. They were the laughingstock. They couldn't win games if they tried. And it was like you had to, the minute Parcells came in, respect, credibility, discipline. This team knew day in and day out what they were getting, and it was his way or the highway. That's the culture you need here. You got to clean up a lot of egos, a lot of attitudes, a lot of laziness, a lot of losing. So you got to pay, and you got to pay soon. So this is Woody Johnson's chance, and if he doesn't do it, if you're forced to hire a first-time head coach and all other routes, I think it's going to be another 3 years of a mess. I think at this point, when you have players like Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson that are looking for a leader, they're looking for a reason a reason to believe. Let's call it what it is. You need a guy who looked them in the eyes, but listen, trust me, I've been there, I've done that, I got you. We're turning this around because there is no other option. Like, losing is no longer an option. The Jets' mindset has been a complacent culture. They've been justifying loses. They've been justifying excuses. That all has to change. And the players know that. They come from winning programs. They know what losing looks like and what winning looks like, and they know what they're a part of. And they'll know instantly the guy sitting in front of them if they believe in him or not. So now it's up to Woody Johnson and whoever else in that room to figure it out. Now, the concern that you have is that the 33rd team can give you a great list of candidates, but it comes down to Woody and his buddies to figure out who they want to hire. So what is his criteria? I would love for this owner who has the, he walks around with the Woody chain. He likes to be all flamboyant and arrogant and proud when things are somewhat good. Not good. They've never been good this season. Here's a time for you to meet the media in like a 20-minute sit-down session that's broadcast on NewYorkJets.com and answer legitimate questions with legitimate answers. Don't hide and do some little 5-minute speech. No, your team is a mess. Face your season ticket holder base, which is drastically reducing daily. Face your loyal fans that have been through nothing but pain and suffering forever, and answer questions honestly and tell us what you really think. Because you have to own this now. Speak up. Own it and speak out to your future candidates. But listen, I know all these stories are out there and it looks bad, but times are changing with the Jets and I'm committed to make things better. Do something. Hiding isn't the answer. Not offering comment to articles isn't the answer. This is it. This is where you're at now. You do that and maybe things will finally change. And next year, this time, we're talking about playoffs, or at least making a run at one. Talk to you guys later.